Cain Blackthorne had survived 3 assassination attempts in 10 years as Alpha King, but he'd never expected poison from his own council table, served by hands he'd trusted for 8 years.
The fate of
The
our
royal
realm
council
depends on our
chamber stretched
resolve.
before him, 7 territorial flags hanging from iron standards, each representing regions he'd sworn to protect. Tonight's quarterly summit had covered the usual disputes, trade routes, rogue incursions, territorial hunting rights. Then Dominic Ashford raised the succession question. The royal counselor's voice carried practiced smoothness as he addressed the assembled alphas. The council grows restless, Your Majesty. 10 years without an heir puts the kingdom at risk. If you were to fall in battle succession, crisis would destroy everything we've built. Around the table, territorial alphas waited for Cain's response. Alpha Grant from the Northern Territory showed genuine concern. Alpha Nathan Cross from Appalachia revealed barely concealed ambition. Cain let silence stretch before responding with finality that had ended countless debates. I've survived worse than battle. I'll choose a mate when I'm ready, not when politicians demand it for their peace of mind. The meeting ground through remaining business with forced enthusiasm. As midnight approached, Dominic rose to perform the traditional closing toast wine from Northern Territory vineyards, poured with ceremonial precision into 7 crystal glasses. His hands were steady, his expression appropriately solemn. He'd performed this ritual at every summit for 8 years. But tonight, as Dominic handed Cain his glass, their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Cain saw something in that gaze that made his wolf surge with violent warning hold. Certainty, the look of a man who'd made his decision and committed fully to consequences. Dominic raised his glass, speaking ritual words to peace and prosperity. To the 7 territories united. May our bonds hold firm through whatever trials come. The alphas echoed the toast. Cain lifted his glass, muscle memory carrying him through familiar motion. The bouquet reached his nose, oak and cherry, distinctive northern vintage. And underneath, so faint most would have missed it, the acrid chemical burn of wolfsbane mixed with silver. The recognition hit like physical blow. His wolf screamed warning, but his hand was already moving. The glass touched his lips. Wine burned across his tongue, metallic bite of silver dissolved in wolfsbane extract. The compound was precise, designed to kill slowly, to force a shift and prevent healing. Cain swallowed before instinct could stop him. Poison spread through his bloodstream like acid. Around the table, other alphas set down glasses, conversation resuming. None had been poisoned.
We must
just
unite
him.
Our forces and
his
march
eyes
at
found
dawn.
Dominic across the table.
The fate of our realm
the counselor
depends
met
on
his
our
gaze
resolve.
with that same cold certainty. 8 years of trust incinerated in a single moment. What have you done? Cain's voice came out, rough throat already closing. The words cut through conversation like a blade. Every alpha fell silent. Dominic stood slowly, the mask finally dropping completely. What I should have done years ago made way for stronger leadership. You've ruled through compromise. The territories need a conqueror. The betrayal clicked into place with brutal clarity. Dominic's increasing pressure about succession, convenient accidents, eliminating 3 territorial alphas in the past year, replaced by younger, more ambitious leaders. Like Nathan Cross, who now stood with a wolf's smile moving to flank Dominic. Across the table, Alpha Reese Hawthorne did the same. 2 territorial alphas publicly declaring for a coup. The guards Cain had trusted moved to block doors. 6 wolves revealed as conspirators. Then Marcus Stone drew his sword. The beta's movement was pure instinct. Marcus positioned himself between Cain and conspirators, blade catching candlelight. If you want him, you go through me. Cain's wolf surged against control poison, accelerating forced transformation. He could feel bones beginning to shift. The wolfsbane silver compound would keep him locked in wolf form, while toxins killed him. Minutes before the shift became involuntary. Maybe less. Marcus's voice came sharp with command. Go, I'll hold them. Get to Northern Territory. Alpha Grant is loyal, but you need to go now. Every instinct screamed against abandoning his beta. But if Cain died here, Dominic would claim the throne and conspirators would control 3 territories immediately. Survival meant living to fight another day. I'm not leaving you to die, Cain managed through restructuring throat. You're not. I'm buying you time to live. Marcus's response was devastating in its simplicity. Now go, you stubborn bastard. That's an order. In 10 years, Marcus had never issued direct command to his Alpha King. But now he invoked the deepest bond between Alpha and Beta, Using trust to force the decision Kane couldn't make himself. Behind them, Dominic's patience ran out. Kill the beta, take the king alive. Steel sang as conspirators drew weapons. Kane's vision went black at edges, body folding as transformation took him completely. The last thing he saw as a man was Marcus's back, his beta standing firm against impossible odds. Then Kane's vision shifted to Wolf's spectrum colors bleeding to gray and silver.
March at dawn.
He stood 7
The
feet
fate
at
of our
shoulder
realm
black,
depends on our
fur shot
resolve.
through with silver. But poison was already spreading, turning strength against him. Kane's wolf turned toward the chamber's tall windows. 3 stories up. In human form, he'd never survive. As a wolf, he'd break bones but likely live. He ran. 4 powerful strides carried him across the chamber. Then he hit window with full weight. Glass exploded outward. November air rushed up as gravity took hold. Kane twisted mid-fall, landing on all 4s in the courtyard. Pain exploded through front legs, but nothing broke. The wolf ran north toward Alpha Grant's territory, 200 miles through mountain wilderness and onset of winter. But his wolf had other ideas. On day 4, the pull shifted westward toward the Rockies' most remote regions. Mate. The words surfaced from instinct deeper than conscious thought. His wolf had caught a scent not physical, but something bypassing senses entirely. The other half of his soul existed somewhere in those western mountains. His dying wolf locked onto her like compass, finding true north. It made no sense. Mate bonds didn't work that way. But the wolf didn't care about logic. It cared about survival. And somehow it understood that the female in those mountains represented his only chance to live.
March at dawn.
For 8 days, Kane ran while dying. The Wolfsbane silver compound slowly destroyed him wounds that wouldn't heal, coordination compromised each day, weaker than the last. But the pull in his chest intensified. She was close, perhaps a day's run. On day 8, a blizzard rolled in. Visibility dropped to arm's length. Temperature plummeted. Kane forced his way through snowdrifts that reached his chest, just ahead. The certainty filled him completely. His wolf stumbled, legs giving out. He went down, hard muzzle hitting snow that began to bury him. But that pull remained, right ahead. 50 feet, maybe less. Close enough to smell wood smoke. Close enough to see the vague outline of a cabin. Close enough to know he'd found her. Kane forced himself upright one last time. 5 feet from the threshold, his legs gave out completely. He collapsed into snow consciousness, fading. But he'd made it. Against every logical expectation, he'd reached his mate's den. The darkness took him. Elena Winters had learned to read the mountain's moods over 3 years of solitary survival. The sky's color predicted weather with reliable accuracy. Wind direction indicated whether storms would break or roll into valleys. Even deer behavior provided warning. Their movement to lower elevation meant blizzard within 48 hours. She checked all those signs that morning and lost the gamble. But she'd won 2 good-sized trout, which meant protein for a week if rationed carefully. Fair trade, assuming she could make it home alive through the blizzard that had transformed from gentle snowfall to blinding whiteout in 20 minutes. Inside her chest, her wolf stirred with unusual urgency, unusual because the presence had been weak since the ritual at 21, when her transformation had failed spectacularly before the entire pack. 3 years of isolation hadn't strengthened it. But tonight, her wolf pushed forward with something approaching demand. Not fear despite the deadly storm. Something else. Recognition, maybe. The sound cut through the howling wind, pained animal desperate. Large. 4-legged. Elena froze. Every survival instinct screamed, keep walking, reach cabin before hypothermia kills you. Whatever made that sound was dying or dangerous. But her feet turned toward it anyway. Her wolf surged with fierce insistence. Important. He's important. Go to him. 20 feet ahead, a massive shape collapsed in the snow. Black fur shot through with silver. A shifter, alpha based on size, easily twice any normal wolf. Blood matted his flanks where deep gashes had torn through flesh. The smell hit her even through the storm, wolfsbane and silver. Someone had poisoned this alpha with compound designed specifically to kill force wolf form, prevent healing, let toxins finish the work. Elena knelt beside him, her mind cataloging injuries with clinical detachment learned from her father Magnus, who'd been pack healer before his death 4 years ago. This wolf should be dead. The wounds alone were mortal. Combined with that poison, survival was impossible. Yet his chest still rose with shallow breaths. Her hand moved to touch his fur before conscious thought engaged. The moment her fingers made contact, electricity shot through her palm. Not painful, shocking in intensity. Power surged from him into her, or from her into him, or both simultaneously. And her wolf roared to life. The weak, fractured presence that had barely manifested during ritual suddenly blazed like wildfire. For the first time in 3 years, Elena felt whole, complete. She jerked her hand back. The sensation vanished, leaving her gasping. Touched again, strength returned, flooding her limbs with power she'd never possessed. This is insane. Elena looked at the massive wolf, then at her own slight frame. She was maybe 120 pounds.
We must unite our forces.
He had to weigh
and march
300
at dawn.
minimum. Carrying him was
The fate of our
physically
realm
impossible.
depends on our resolve.
But when she gripped his scruff, that impossible strength flooded her. She maneuvered the massive body onto her shoulders in movement that should have been laughable felt natural. Elena stood and began walking. 6 miles separated her from the cabin. 6 miles through a killer blizzard while carrying a creature that outweighed her by 200 pounds. The journey blurred into white and cold and relentless forward motion. Her world narrowed to basics, next step, then next. The wolf's warmth against her shoulders became anchor reminder that her burden still lived. When her cabin door finally appeared through whiteout, Elena stumbled through and collapsed with the wolf in a tangle of limbs. She'd done it, carried impossible weight through storm that should have killed them both. Now she had to keep him alive. The wolf didn't wake for 3 days. Elena worked with precision her father had drilled into her cleaning wounds, packing them with yarrow and comfrey poultices, administering the wolfsbane antidote Magnus had kept despite its cost. The wounds healed faster than possible. By day, 3 gashes that should have taken weeks were closing. On the 3rd dawn, Elena woke to find her hand resting not on fur, but on skin. Where the wolf had been, a man now lay. Massive, even in human form, 6'4", built with strength that came from years of training. Scars crisscrossed his torso. Black hair fell past shoulders. Even unconscious, he radiated the kind of power that made lesser wolves submit instinctively. Elena grabbed a blanket covering him, then examined wounds in human form. They appeared even more deadly, deep gouges across ribs, puncture wounds dotting shoulders and back. Someone had wanted him very, very dead. The man stirred as evening approached. His breathing changed, becoming rapid. A low sound escaped his throat. His head turned restlessly. No, can't, won't let. Elena froze. He was delirious, caught in fever dreams. You're safe, she said softly. Rest. His eyes snapped open, amber bright as flames, heart filled with wild intensity that pinned her in place. For a moment, those eyes focused with perfect clarity. His lips moved, forming a word dragged from somewhere deep. Mate. Then his eyes rolled back, unconsciousness claiming him again. Elena sat motionless, heart pounding. Mate. He'd called her mate. The word resonated through her wolf with fierce recognition. But that was impossible. They'd never met. Mate bonds required time proximity, unless fated mate stories were true.
We must unite
Over
our
the next
forces
hours,
and march
fever
at dawn.
worsened. He thrashed
The fate
weakly,
of our
muttering
realm
about
depends on
poison
our
and
resolve.
councils and enemies wearing friendly faces. The name Marcus came up repeatedly. Elena held him down, forced water between his lips, pressed cool cloths to his forehead. By the 4th day, fever finally broke. The man slept deeply but naturally. Elena tended cabin maintenance, trying not to watch him constantly. Failing. On day 7, he woke. 4 days since I found you, Elena explained, handing him broth. 3 since you shifted. You should still be unconscious. The man, he said his name was Kane, studied her with intensity that felt like physical weight as he ate. When he finished, he met her eyes with directness that was both respectful and assessing. I need to know what happened after I collapsed. Everything you did, Elena told him. The wound she'd cleaned, the wolfsbane antidote, the infection she'd fought. She laid it out clinically. Kane was silent for a long moment. Wolfsbane and silver compound. That's expensive. Designed to kill alphas. You shouldn't have had the antidote. My father was royal healer for the Alphaking, Elena said before she could consider implications. He kept supplies most couldn't afford. Kane's expression shifted. Recognition flickered. Magnus Winters.
We
Your
must
father
unite
was
our
Magnus
forces
Winters.
and march at dawn.
It wasn't a question.
The fate of
You
our
knew
realm
him.
depends on
I
our
knew him.
resolve.
He served the Alphaking for 5 years before his death 4 years ago. I was told it was an accident. I don't think it was, Elena said flatly. But I had no way to prove anything. No one would listen to a broken Omega's theories. You're not broken, Kane said with certainty. Whatever happened at your ritual isn't permanent. Over the following days, they talked. Kane explained he was an alpha from a southern territory, poisoned at council meeting, fled before they could finish him. Elena shared basics of her exile, rejected at 21, fled arranged marriage to Garrett Steele, survived 3 years alone. Neither mentioned mate bonds, though the connection hummed between them with increasing insistence. 2 weeks after the rescue, Kane made his proposal. Your wolf isn't broken, it's suppressed. Trauma during your ritual did that. Let me help you shift properly. That evening, they stood in a clearing. Kane positioned behind her voice, dropping to commanding tone. Close your eyes. Feel your wolf. Don't beg, command her. You're not asking permission. You're taking what is yours. Elena reached inward. Found her wolf not weak, just waiting. Coiled like spring. Transformed, she commanded. Now. Power exploded through her body. Bones restructured. Fur
We must
erupted
unite
across
our
skin.
forces and march
The
at dawn.
transformation completed in
The fate
seconds.
of our realm depends
When
on our
Elena
resolve.
opened her eyes, the world had shifted into Wolf's perception. She looked down at chestnut fur, at 4 legs where 2 had been. She'd shifted, successfully, completely. Joy surged so intensely she threw back her head and howled. Then Kane shifted beside her to magnificent black wolf with silver streaks 7 feet at shoulder. When he touched his nose to hers in traditional greeting, the mate bond snapped into crystal clarity. Mine, her wolf said. This male is mine. They ran together as light faded. When they returned, both breathing hard, Elena shifted back to human. Steam rose from overheated skin. She felt more powerful than ever in her life. She closed the distance and kissed him. His response was immediate. They barely made it back to cabin, falling together in tangle of limbs in desperate need. When they finally came together, the mate bond blazed into full existence, connecting them on levels beyond physical. Afterward, wrapped in each other's arms, Elena felt the bond humming between them. For the first time since her father's death, she wasn't alone. Even if the complications this would bring made her previous life look simple. The confession came the next morning. I haven't been entirely truthful.
We must unite our
Kane
forces
said,
and
his voice
march at
gentle
dawn.
but serious.
The fate of our
You
realm
deserve the
depends
whole
on our
truth.
resolve.
Elena sat up, pulling the blanket around herself. What do you mean I'm not just any alpha? He met her eyes directly. I'm Kane Blackthorn, Alpha King of the 7 territories. I govern all shifter packs from the Pacific to the Appalachians. Every alpha you've ever known answers to me. The world tilted. Elena gripped the blanket tighter. Alpha King, not just pack alpha, supreme authority over all shifter kind. You lied to me, I omitted. Which is lying, yes, I'm sorry. His expression held genuine regret. But knowing made you a target. My counselor Dominic, who poisoned me, will hunt anyone I value. Through their bond, Elena felt his controlled fury, his respect for her composure, his absolute support for whatever she chose next. Tell me everything, not the edited version, the real story. So Kane told her. About the Royal Council where Dominic poisoned him. About Marcus, his beta, who fought to buy time for escape. About 8 days running while dying, guided by mate bond he hadn't understood. About conspiracy involving territorial alphas Nathan Cross and Reese Hawthorne. And about Magnus, about how her father had served as royal healer investigating
We
Dominic
must
before his
unite our
death.
forces and march
How
at
Magnus
dawn.
probably died because
The
he
fate of
discovered
our
the
realm
conspiracy.
depends on our resolve.
That revelation hit like physical blow. Her father murdered. Not accident. Targeted assassination. When Kane finished, Elena spoke carefully. Your enemies will eventually find this cabin. Staying puts me in danger. Leaving means abandoning the only home I've had. So what do you suggest I need to return to the capital? Reclaim my throne, expose the conspiracy. He paused. I want you to come with me. Elena laughed bitterly. You want a rejected Omega to come be your Luna. Do you know how the court will react? I don't care how they react. You're my mate. That's not politics. That's fate. Elena's wolf surged with agreement, but her mind saw complications clearly. She'd be walking into Viper's nest, would be marked as target, would lose anonymity and safety. But staying here alone while Kane returned felt physically painful to consider. The bond would tear at both of them if they tried to ignore it. I need to think about it, Elena said. Fair. Marcus will return in 10 days with supplies and escort. If you choose to come, he'll bring you safely. If not, pain flickered through their bond. If not, I'll understand.
We
I'll
must
leave you in
unite our
peace.
forces and
You'd
march
do
at
that,
dawn.
walk away from your mate.
The fate of our
I'd
realm
hate every
depends
moment.
on our result.
But yes, because forcing you would make me no better than Garrett Steele. You deserve choice. Always. The words settled something in Elena's chest. He meant it, which somehow made the decision easier. I'll come, she said quietly. Not because you're Alpha King, because I choose you, even knowing the danger. Relief and joy transformed his expression. He pulled her close. Thank you. Whatever comes, you won't face it alone. 3 days after Kane left, Elena was preparing to close the cabin when she smelled them foreign wolves, multiple moving with purpose through the forest. Her heart slammed against ribs. She shifted immediately, transformation coming smoothly now. 6 mercenaries emerged from the trees, all radiating dominant energy. Elena fought with everything her father had taught and 3 years of survival had reinforced. First mercenary reaching for her lost 3 fingers to her teeth. Second took claws across face that would scar. But 6 against 1 was mathematics courage couldn't overcome. Silver chains materialized, wrapping around her throat, forcing her back to human form with agonizing efficiency. The leader pressed boot against her spine. Feisty little thing.
We must unite our forces
Dominic
and
said
march
she
at
was
dawn.
broken.
The fate
This
of our
one's
realm
got teeth.
depends on our
Silver
result.
burned where it touched skin. They hauled her upright, securing chains around wrists and ankles. What do you want? Elena managed through gritted teeth. The leader grabbed her jaw. You obviously, the Alpha King's mate, worth more than gold to the right buyer. Ice flooded her veins. They knew. Dominic has spies everywhere, the leader continued. The moment that bastard king crawled into these mountains half dead, we knew. Moment you carried him home, we knew. And when he left, looking like lovesick pup, we definitely knew. They dragged her to horses. One injured mercenary shot her venomous look. Bitch took my fingers. Should have been faster, the leader said without sympathy. He lifted Elena onto horse, securing chains to saddle. We ride hard. 6 days to capital. The journey began at punishing pace. Silver chains made shifting impossible, stealing strength. Elena tried reaching for Kane through mate bond. Silver blocked most signal, only fear and pain, transmitted no words, no location. Did he feel it? Did he know she was in danger on day 2? One mercenary rode close, his tongue loosened by boredom and alcohol. Never thought I'd transport the Alpha King's mate. Dominic's paying triple for this job.
We must
Why does he
unite
want
our
me?
forces
Elena
and march
asked.
at dawn.
Leverage. Kill a
The
mate,
fate of
you
our
kill
realm
the Alpha's
depends on our
strength.
result.
Mate bonds are power conduits. Break one half, other half becomes weak. Vulnerable. He grinned. Dominic plans to force abdication in exchange for your life. Then kill you anyway, weaken him, take throne. Horror washed through Elena. Not just her life at stake. Kane's power, his throne, everything. That's treason, she said quietly. That's politics. Dominic has support. 2 territorial alphas pledge their forces. When Alpha King falls, they'll be rewarded with expanded territories. 2 alphas conspiring. The conspiracy ran deeper than Kane had suspected. On day 4, the leader rode back to check his captive. You're from Winter's pack, right? Elena's throat tightened. It was. Long ago. His smile turned cruel. Then you might find this interesting. Your sister sends her regards. The world tilted. What's Sarah Winters? Now Sarah crossed Luna to Alpha Nathan, one of Dominic's co-conspirators. He watched her reaction with pleasure. She's been quite helpful. Told us all about your coward's flight 3 years ago. How you abandoned her. How she always knew you were weak. Elena couldn't breathe.
We
Sarah,
must unite our
her sister
forces
who'd
and
begged
march
her
at
not to
dawn.
run, married
The
to
fate
one of
of
the
our realm
traitors.
depends on our result.
Voluntarily. You're lying. Why would I lie? We'll reach capital in 2 days. You'll see for yourself when she attends your execution. That night, chained to a tree while mercenaries camped, Elena closed her eyes and pushed harder than before through the mate bond. She felt him then, just for a moment. Flash of recognition, desperate concern. I'm here. I'm coming. I chose you. Please find me. Whether the message reached him, she couldn't tell. 2 days remained until they reached capital. 2 days to figure out how to survive. Kane felt Elena's distress through the bond like knife to his chest. For 3 days, he'd sensed fear and pain without understanding the cause. He'd assumed it was separation anxiety, the bond protesting distance. Then Marcus returned with intelligence that turned assumption to horrified certainty. Dominic's mercenaries captured her, the beta reported, his expression grim. 3 days after you left. They're bringing her to capital, should arrive tomorrow. Plan is to force you to abdicate publicly, then execute her. Rage, cold and calculated, flooded through Cain. Then we prepare. Gather every loyal wolf. I want forces ready to move the moment they arrive.
We must unite
Over
our
the next
forces
18
and march
hours,
at dawn.
Marcus assembled intelligence
of our realm
and loyal
depends on our
soldiers with
resolve.
efficiency born from decades of military service. The conspiracy's scope became clear. Nathan Cross and Reese Hawthorne had mobilized 3,000 wolves, believing Cain dead or dying. They'd arrive at capital within days, expecting to claim territories through force. But first, Dominic would try to leverage Elena. Cain stood at the fortress windows, staring at darkness beyond, feeling Elena's fear through their bond growing stronger as she approached. I'm coming, he sent through the connection, pushing with everything he had. Hold on, I'm coming. They brought Elena to the capital on the 6th day, dragging her through streets toward the fortress. The throne room doors swung open, revealing space so vast it stole breath, columns soaring to shadowed ceiling torches, blazing territorial flags hanging from standards. At the far end, Dominic Ashford sat on throne that wasn't his. The counselor's voice carried across assembled court. The Alphaking's whore, captured while seducing our king during his weakness. I saved a dying wolf, Elena said, voice steady despite chains. That's all. How convenient that wolf was most powerful shifter alive. Dominic's smile was cold. Someone knew exactly what poison would kill an Alpha King slowly. Someone with access to council wine. Silence crashed across the room. Then a voice cut through with undeniable authority. The king is very much alive. Every head turned. Cain stood in doorway, flanked by dozen armed wolves, dressed for battle leather and steel amber eyes blazing. Power radiated from him, making lesser wolves drop to knees. Elena's heart slammed against ribs. He'd come. Release her, Cain commanded. Now, I think not. Dominic snapped fingers. More wolves emerged from side doors. You've walked into trap. You care for this broken Omega. So here's my offer. Abdicate publicly. Name me successor, and I'll let her live. No deal. Let her go, or I'll take her by force. Dominic laughed. You're outnumbered. Your wolves? Marcus's voice cut through. Look again, traitor. Half of Dominic's supposed supporters turned weapons now aimed at conspirators. Cain's counterintelligence had worked. The throne room exploded into chaos. Steel clashed. Wolves shifted. Cain fought toward Elena with brutal efficiency. The girl, Dominic, screamed. Kill the girl. A wolf broke from melee, charging Elena, jaws wide, going for throat. Cain intercepted. Ripped enemy wolf's throat out. Shifted human worked at Elena's chains. I've got you behind you, Elena screamed. Dominic's blade caught Cain across ribs, deep gash, bleeding heavily. Cain staggered. Dominic drove sword toward Elena's chest. If I can't have throne, neither can you, time slowed. Elena saw blade coming, saw Cain trying to intercept, too injured, saw own death. Sword plunged into her abdomen. White-hot agony exploded through her body. She gasped, tasted copper, felt blood pouring from wound. But beneath pain, something stirred. Deep in her core, where father's blood ran, power awakened. Silver light erupted from Elena's hands, so bright it illuminated every corner. Chains shattered, melting like ice. Sword in her gut glowed white-hot, forcing Dominic to release it, screaming. Elena gripped blade still embedded in flesh. Pulled. It came free in spray of blood and light. The mortal wound closed. Flesh knit at impossible speed until nothing remained but blood-soaked dress and smooth skin. What are you? Dominic stumbled back, terrified. My father's daughter. Elena's voice carried power. Magnus knew you'd killed him. Before he died, he performed ritual. Gave me his healing gift, amplified. You took my father. Tried to take my mate. No more. But Cain struck first. Hand closed on Dominic's throat, lifting traitor off feet. This death is mine. He snapped neck with single brutal motion. Body crumpled. Remaining conspirators dropped weapons, surrendering. Elena's power flooded room. Touched every wounded loyalist. Gashes closed, bones mended. Even Cain's rib wounds sealed. She swayed exhausted. Cain caught her. Easy. That took everything. Marcus approached, expression grim. Messengers arrived. Nathan and Reese's armies, 3,000 wolves, 5 days out. Kane's arms tightened around Elena. Then we prepare for war. The 5 days blurred into organized preparation. Elena established medical stations, trained 20 volunteers in field medicine. Kane fortified defenses with military precision. Marcus gathered intelligence and secured loyalty of key commanders. On the 5th morning, scouts reported armies accelerating approach. They'd arrive today instead of tomorrow. Emergency War Council convened. Kane stood before his commanders with absolute confidence. Tomorrow we prove this kingdom stands for law rather than might. That truth is stronger than any force they feel. The speech wasn't elaborate, just plain statement of facts delivered with conviction. But it worked.
We must unite our
Hardened warriors
forces and
straightened
march at dawn.
spines, renewed
The
determination,
fate of our realm
replacing doubt.
depends on our resolve.
At dawn, Kane rode forward with Marcus at his right and Elena at his left. Behind them, 500 soldiers marched with discipline. They stopped 50 yards from enemy lines, 3,000 wolves under Nathan and Reese's banners. Nathan Cross and Reese Hawthorne emerged flanked by commanders, both younger than Elena expected, mid-30s, confident from never truly failing. Kane's voice carried with supernatural clarity. Nathan Cross, Reese Hawthorne, I am Kane Blackthorne, Alphaking. I stand before you alive. You were told I was dead, that was lie. You were told your mobilization served legitimate succession. That was treason. Nathan's expression flickered surprise, followed by rapid calculation. You claim we follow traitor. Nathan's voice projected false confidence. We have evidence Dominic acted to save kingdom. Kane produced letter Dominic's correspondence to Nathan discussing poison and territorial division. He read excerpts that left no room for misinterpretation. This is your ally's own words, discussing how to murder me, detailing how territories would be divided. Was this serving kingdom? Nathan's silence crashed across assembled forces.
We
Soldiers
must unite
shifted
our forces
uncomfortably.
and march at dawn.
The letter was undeniable.
The fate of our realm
I call for
depends on our
tribunal.
resolve.
Kane announced, as is my right, you will answer accusations before neutral observers. The challenge was perfect. Refusal proved guilt. Acceptance required defending the indefensible. Reese's control snapped. His form blurred as he shifted, massive wolf launching toward Kane. Instinct overriding strategy. Kane met assault with practiced efficiency. His transformation flowed faster. Black Wolf intercepting charge. They collided with impact that echoed across valley. Marcus's voice froze both armies' hold. This is Alpha Trial, single combat by right. Any who interfere dishonor both sides. The appeal to tradition worked. Soldiers held position despite instincts. Elena watched her mate fight with hard hammering. Kane and Reese tore at each other with savage efficiency. Blood-stained ground. The conflict lasted 3 minutes that felt like hours. Finally, Kane's jaws closed around Reese's throat, not killing bite, but dominant hold. The larger wolf went limp, yielding. Kane shifted back, standing over Reese. The challenge is satisfied. This alpha yields. By law, his forces are forfeit. Any who dispute speaks against tradition. No one spoke.
We
Weapons
must unite
lowered
our
as immediate
forces and
crisis
march at
passed.
dawn.
Nathan
The fate
remained
of
in
our
human
realm
form,
depends on our
calculating how
resolve.
thoroughly his conspiracy had collapsed. Dominic dead, Reese defeated. Evidence public and undeniable. The Appalachian Alpha dropped to one knee. I yield. My forces yield. I'll answer charges in tribunal. The victory felt hollow as Elena watched Kane stagger, exhaustion and injuries catching up. She moved forward, catching his arm. Through bond, she felt his pain, his satisfaction at avoiding catastrophic casualties, his trust that she would help him heal. Get him to medical station, Marcus ordered. The trial is won, but infection kills as surely as combat. Elena guided Kane toward fortress. Around them, soldiers secured surrendered forces. But that was someone else's responsibility now. Her responsibility was the male leaning on her more than pride wanted to admit. The medical station filled with wounded within minutes. Elena moved between patients with practiced efficiency, mostly from Reese's forces injured during trial, but also several from Garrison. A young wolf clutched gash across ribs. Why are you helping me? His voice cracked. We came to kill your mate, Elena pressed poultice against wound. Because you're bleeding and I'm a healer.
We must unite
Politics
our
don't
forces and
change
march at
anatomy.
dawn.
The work
The
consumed
fate
hours.
of our realm depends
Each
on our
patient
resolve.
received same focused attention, regardless of side. By afternoon, they treated 63 wolves. save perhaps 15 who'd have died without intervention. Marcus appeared as evening approached. Your Majesty, we've completed interrogations. Commander Sarah Cross Nathan's Luna is providing extensive testimony about conspiracy's full scope, including details about who assisted Dominic 4 years ago. Elena's hands stilled mid-bandage. Sarah Cross. Her sister had married the Appalachian Alpha, had become part of conspiracy that killed their father. I need to see her, Elena said flatly. Where is she? Marcus hesitated. Lady Elena, perhaps wait now. She's my sister. I have right to hear confession directly. Kane's hand found Elena's shoulder with gentle pressure. Take her to holding cells. Bring Sarah Cross to interrogation chamber. No constraints, just family conversation that's 3 years overdue. The interrogation chamber was sparse table chairs, stone walls. Sarah sat bound in silver chains, her wrists secured. She looked up as door opened. Sarah had always been beautiful. Golden hair, gray eyes matching Elena's, but somehow colder. At 26, she'd matured
We
into
must
striking
unite our
presence.
forces and march
But
at
beneath
dawn.
beauty, Elena saw
The fate of our
hardness
realm
that
depends
hadn't
on our
been there
resolve.
before. Elena. Recognition flashed across Sarah's face. You're alive, I thought. They said you died. Did you mourn? Elena kept voice level. Or were you relieved that broken Omega wouldn't complicate plans? Sarah's expression twisted. Don't pretend you're victim. You abandoned me, left me to face judgment alone. Do you know what that was like? I ran from forced marriage to abusive Alpha. You married conspirator who helped poison the Alphaking. Those aren't equivalent. I married for power. Sarah's chin lifted. For position. Nathan offered respect. Authority. Something better than being Magnus Winter's spare daughter. So you helped kill him, not a question. Sarah's silence confirmed everything. Finally, Dominic needed father gone. Magnus was investigating too thoroughly, asking about financial irregularities. He was close to exposing the conspiracy. So Dominic asked for help. Promised me Nathan and position if I facilitated an accident. How the gorge. I told father there were rare herbs near river. Led him to cliff edge. When he bent to examine mosses, Sarah's voice dropped. I pushed. The casual tone sent ice through Elena's veins.
We must
He
unite
knew
our
Sarah
forces and
continued
march at
unprompted.
dawn.
In that last
fate of
second
our
before
realm
he fell,
depends on our
he
resolve.
turned and saw me, knew what I'd done, and the look on his face. I dream about that look every night. Good, Elena said coldly. I hope those dreams haunt you until you die. Tell me about the poison Marcus cut in. How did you help Dominic? I provided the compound. Sarah met Kane's gaze. The specific mixture of wolfsbane and silver. Nathan had access to rare ingredients. I mixed them according to Dominic's specifications. So you created the poison that nearly killed me, Kane said neutrally, deliberately. I did it for power, for position in a world that only values strength. You survived. Stop acting like victim. You had a sister who loved you. Elena's voice cracked. A father who taught valuable skills. You had everything except satisfaction, and that was your choice. Sarah laughed bitterly. Love matters. Father loved you, and look where it got him. You think belonging matters? They threw you away when your wolf didn't perform. Love and belonging are illusions. Lena stood decision, crystallizing. I'm done. Done with this. Done with you. Done pretending we're family when you murdered that connection 4 years ago. Wait.
We must
Desperation
unite our
entered Sarah's
forces
voice.
and march at dawn.
Elena, please.
The fate of our
We're
realm
sisters.
depends on our resolve.
Blood. That has to count for something. Watch me. Elena moved toward door. Being related doesn't make us family. You're not my family. You're just someone who shares my genetics and killed my father. He left something for you. Sarah's words stopped Elena. Father. Before he died, he performed a ritual, transferred his healing gift to you, made it stronger. I watched him do it the night before I killed him. He knew I was going to betray him. And instead of stopping me, he spent his final evening making sure you'd have power to survive what was coming. The revelation hit like physical impact. Magnus had known, had foreseen betrayal, and chose to prepare his remaining daughter rather than prevent his death. Why tell me this? Because you should know he died loving you. And because maybe if you understand that you'll show me mercy I don't deserve but need. The manipulation was obvious. Truth mixed with emotional appeal. But the core fact remained true. Magnus had used final hours to strengthen his surviving daughter. Father's gift doesn't obligate me to save you from consequences, Elena said. What happens now is justice, not vengeance. She left without looking back. The formal
We must
tribunal
unite our
convened the next
forces and
morning.
march at dawn.
Every territorial
The
alpha
fate
who
of
could
our
reach
realm
capital had
depends on our
arrived.
resolve.
Cain occupied throne in full ceremonial armor. Elena stood at his right as Luna. Marcus flanked his left as Beta. Nathan, Cross, and Sarah were brought forward in silver chains. Behind them, Reese walked without restraints, defeated Alpha, who'd yielded according to tradition. Cain's voice carried across witnesses. We gathered to dispense justice for conspiracy to commit regicide, actual regicide of Magnus Winters, treason through mobilizing forces against legitimate rule, poisoning Alphaking with intent to cause death. Traditional sentence is execution. Silence filled hall. However, Cain continued. Primary victim's family has requested alternative sentence. Elena Winters has asked for mercy that serves rehabilitation rather than vengeance. All eyes turned to Elena. 3 years ago, I fled rather than accept forced marriage. Elena spoke from heart. I survived alone. I learned strength isn't always about fighting. Sometimes it's about choosing difficult compassion over easy violence. My sister helped murder my father, helped poison my mate, did this for power she thought would fill emptiness. Traditional law says she dies. I say she lives, but stripped of everything she murdered to gain. Exile
We must
beyond Rocky
unite our
Mountains.
forces and march
No
at dawn.
pack, no
The fate
status,
of our realm depends
just
on our
survival
resolve.
skills and consequences. Murmurs rippled through alphas. Some showed disapproval, others looked thoughtful. The Alpha King's judgment. Cain stood. Sarah Cross and Nathan Cross are stripped of all titles. They will be escorted beyond Wyoming border, provided basic supplies, and released. Any sheltering them face exile themselves. This is mercy tempered with justice. Guards escorted prisoners from hall. Sarah's control cracked voice rising in protest. They disappeared through side entrance. Cain continued hitting themes that reinforced stability. Conspiracy is broken. Its architects punished. Our territories stand unified under law rather than divided by ambition. We've been tested. We've endured. And we emerged stronger. When tribunal concluded, alphas approached individually to pledge renewed loyalty. Elena observed political theater with interest, understanding how Cain's handling had actually strengthened his rule. That evening, Cain found Elena in their chambers. You did well today. Showed strength courts will remember. I felt like fraud entire time, Elena admitted, standing there pretending I belonged. Then they're
We must
fools.
unite our forces
He moved
and
behind
march
her
at dawn.
hands on shoulders.
The fate
You
of our realm
survived 3
depends
years
on our
alone,
resolve.
saved my life, showed mercy when vengeance would be easier. If that doesn't qualify you, their standards are worthless. I have something to ask you. Cain's tone shifted. Will you stand with me before our people, complete claiming ceremony according to tradition? Become Luna in every way. The request was expected. They'd physically claimed each other, but public ceremony served political purpose. Yes, Elena said. Not because ceremony makes us more bonded, but because showing our people that Broken Omega and Alpha King can partner successfully matters. Because maybe some girl will hear a story and realize rejection isn't ending. That worth isn't determined by ritual failure. The claiming ceremony was held 3 days later. The fortress courtyard was transformed. Torches placed at precise intervals, stone circle cleaned and blessed. Elena wore ceremonial midnight blue dress that made skin glow silver thread, catching firelight. Cain wore matching colors, armor polished until it reflected surroundings. Marcus spoke traditional words as witness. I claim this woman as my mate. Cain's voice carried power. Elena Winters, daughter of Magnus the Healer, survivor of rejection, keeper of silver gift. She is
We
mine
must
by
unite
choice
our
and
forces
destiny.
and march at dawn.
Any who challenge this
The
challenges
fate of
me
our realm
directly.
depends on our
I
resolve.
claim this male as my mate. Elena responded with equal conviction. Cain Blackthorn, Alpha King of 7 territories. I choose him freely, completely, for as long as we both live. We are bound beyond death, beyond challenge, beyond any force that might attempt separation. Mate bond flared between them, golden light wrapping around joined hands. Assembled witnesses gasped. The light blazed several seconds before fading. Marcus completed ceremony. I declare Cain Blackthorn and Elena Winters properly mated and claimed. Let no wolf dispute what fate and choice have bound. Let this claiming be recorded as alliance that strengthens our kingdom. Celebration erupted, cheers, howls, genuine joy. The physical claiming came later in privacy. Kane's teeth found junction of Elena's neck and shoulder permanent. Claiming mark. She returned gesture marking him as thoroughly. Afterward, wrapped in each other's arms, Elena felt peace she hadn't known was possible. Does it feel wrong, Kane asked? Like you're somewhere you shouldn't be? No, Elena answered with certainty. It feels like I finally found where I was always meant to end up. They
We must
drifted
unite
towards
our
sleep,
forces and
Bond
march at
humming,
dawn.
contentment.
The fate of
6
our realm
months
depends on our
transformed
resolve.
capital in visible and subtle ways. Physical repairs were most obvious, damaged walls restored new construction, expanding fortress. But deeper changes mattered more. Confidence restored, conspiracies shadow fading. Elena found her role. Royal healer position her father once held now belonged to her, reshaped to emphasize teaching. She'd established healing academies in 3 territories. The network was expanding. Reforms she'd suggested were implemented gradually. Omega representation in councils. Revised laws protecting rejected wolves. Better support systems. Changes happened slowly, but momentum was building. On this particular evening, 6 months after claiming, Kane entered looking unusually contemplative. Something happened today. He settled across from her. Marcus brought intelligence from Pacific Northwest. Sarah and Nathan were spotted near Oregon border. They're alive, apparently thriving, built small settlement with other exiles, creating something resembling pack structure. Elena processed information. Part of her had assumed Sarah would die within months. Are they causing problems? Opposite. Marcus says they're actually helping stabilize region, mediating disputes, providing
must
healing
unite our
services.
forces and
Apparently,
march at dawn.
Sarah remembered more of
The fate
Magnus's
of our
teaching
realm
than anyone
depends on our
credited.
resolve.
They're building something legitimate from nothing, proving exile can be rehabilitation. Good Elena meant it. I'm glad they're finding their way. Doesn't mean I forgive, but I'm glad punishment is serving purpose. Kane studied her. You've changed since we met, grown into this role in ways even you didn't anticipate. We've both changed, made each other better than we were separately. The moment felt significant. 6 months of partnership, 6 months of learning to lead together while maintaining individual identities. She stood and moved to where Kane sat. Through bonds, she felt his contentment, his satisfaction, his certainty that choosing her had been best decision he'd made. And underneath everything, she felt something new. A flutter at edge of bond that wasn't quite her and wasn't quite him, but somehow both. Elena's hand moved to her abdomen almost unconsciously. How long have you known? Kane's voice carried wonder. About 2 weeks. Wasn't sure at first, but I confirmed yesterday. Why didn't you tell me immediately? Because I wanted to be certain. Because being pregnant as Luna carries implications, I needed time to process. This isn't just our child.
We must
It's
unite
heir
our
to
forces
kingdom,
and march at dawn.
political as well as
The
personal.
fate of our realm
Kane
depends
stood
on our
and pulled her
resolve.
close arms, wrapping with careful strength. Do you want this? Because if you don't, we have options. No judgment. Your choice matters more than any political consideration. The fact he even asked reinforced everything Elena loved about this male. I want this, she said clearly. I'm terrified of ways I might fail as mother. Worried about raising child in an environment where people judge every decision. But I want this, want our child, want to see what we create together beyond politics and crisis. His relief blazed through bond. Then we face parenthood the way we've faced everything together, imperfectly learning as we go. His hand joined hers on abdomen. Our child will be loved, protected, taught that worth comes from character rather than power. That broken things can become stronger than things never tested. Elena leaned into embrace. 6 months ago, she'd been exile alone in mountain cabin. Now she was Luna, carrying kingdom's heir, standing in chambers that had become home, surrounded by possibilities she'd never imagined. The transformation should have felt impossible. Instead, it felt inevitable, as if every hardship had been
We
preparing
must
her
unite
for
our
exactly
forces and
this.
march at dawn.
For standing beside
The fate
someone
of our
strong
realm
enough to
depends
share
on our
burdens.
resolve.
For healing not just bodies, but systemic failures. For building future where others wouldn't have to survive the way she had. Outside chambers, capital continued evening rhythms. Soldiers changed shifts. Servants prepared morning meals. The machinery of government never stopped. But in this moment, none of that mattered. There were only two people who'd found each other against impossible odds and a child who'd never know the loneliness that had defined both parents before they claimed each other. It was enough, more than enough. It was everything.